So I just got my Newfoundland and Labrador public library card, which is very exciting. But I think it says a lot about me that, like, the biggest scam I'm currently running is that I have 3 library cards from 3 different cities.
I just got a library card from my parents' house.
Yeah.
I still have my Toronto one.
We're all on the path of literary lawlessness.
At least we are using the library.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Midlight Crisis, a real podcast hosted by 3 grown-up biologists revisiting books from our teens, and it's totally cool. I am Sophie, one of your hosts, and I have a randomly generated fantasy name for today. It's a tongue twister. Let me I hope I can enunciate it properly. Okay. So my name today is Tobdi Top Tempter.
Oh my god. Sophie, say that 5 times fast and I'll get you a drink.
I will not.
Okay. One more time though.
Yeah, there's a lot of parts to this, and I don't know that we can talk about the second part on air. Tobdi Top Tempter.
Top Tempter?
Tobdi Top Tempter.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just tempting the tops?
I guess so.
Okay.
Who are you guys?
Well, my name's Sam, and unfortunately my name is not family friendly. So today, my fantasy name is Farmza Copperfinger.
Wow, both of us.
Yep. Yep.
This podcast is for adults, by the way.
I'm so glad I put those words in there.
Yep.
Sam, I can't believe you went from being a man of the cloth last week to
a man of the metal.
Some other kind of man.
No, it's fine. I'm an allomancer from Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn trilogy.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I know neither of you get that reference, but if there's any Brandon Sanderson fans out there,
do allomancers have sex with metal?
No, the concept of the magic system is they swallow the metal, and different metals give you different powers.
You and I have different definitions of
Yeah.
Hannah's gonna have such a good time cutting this whole section out. Okay, anyway.
Yeah, continue. Hannah!
Yeah, my name is Hannah, but for the purposes of today's podcast, you can call me by my actually family-friendly name, which is Noses Good Taylor.
Noses. So tame in comparison to the last two.
I don't know where noses came from.
Noses Moses.
Noses. It's too bad anyone listening to this episode only got to hear Hannah's fantasy name.
It's a real shame.
It's too bad.
Bummer.
Bummer. Well, with that, do you guys want to tell us what happened in the 2 chapters we read this week, which are 2 chapters of Eragon, the book we're currently reading?
Yeah. You bet I do. I just want to preface the summary by saying I read this maybe like 3 hours ago. I have no idea what's going on. So, let's start with an old friend. They find Jode. They talk with Jode. Brahm is rude. Saphira is mean. And Eragon can't read. Oh, and there's a herbalist with a toad who is trying to prove that toads don't actually exist. But in all seriousness, I'm a bit lost with what is going on. I think Brahm was supposed to look after something, which I'm assuming is Saphira in egg form. And then they swore to protect whoever came in contact with it. And then Brahm ended up in Carvajal to hide out, which then just mere chance the egg ended up with Eragon and Carvajal. Anyways, there's a lot of just like lore dump in this, but then Brahm and Jode were a part of some same group enlisted to protect something. Moral of this whole chapter summary is I have no idea what's going on. There was a bunch of information given to us, and maybe Hannah can give us a better insight into what happened in The Witch and the Werecat, because I am useless.
Okay. don't worry, I know what's going on in
Good.
An Old Friend because I've read this book before. But in The Witch and the Werecat, Eragon wakes up in Jode's house with the butler giving him the instructions that he can do whatever he wants while Brahm is away researching. So Eragon goes out to explore. He ends up at Angela's herbalist shop where he meets Solumbum, who is a werecat. Eragon immediately offends the werecat, but he apologizes, and Solumbum takes a liking to him, which apparently is a rare event. Angela returns from wherever the heck she was, and offers to read Eragon's future using dragon knucklebones, to which he is not allowed to inquire the origin. The short version of Eragon's fortune is that he is going to have a long, difficult life full of battle and loss, an epic romance with a noblewoman, a betrayal from within his family, and eventually will leave Alagaesia forever. Solumbum also offers a cryptic prophecy, and Eragon takes this new information and tells Saphira, but not Brahm, and the chapter ends with Jode's wife Helen being super pissed that Jode has friends over.
Yeah.
Dang.
So, a lot happened.
A
yeah.
lot.
I mean, the very first thing in these chapters is super important. And it's that Christopher Paolini is clearly a frog expert.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So like Sam said, the chapter like starts with them finding this herbalist who eventually leads them to Jode's house so that they can talk to him. But she's like sitting down holding a frog in one hand. And first of all, she just is extremely difficult when they aren't specific in their questions, which is amazing.
She's so pedantic and I love it.
Okay, but
Yeah.
did anybody else get flashbacks to when you're in elementary school and you're like,
Yeah.
can I go to the bathroom? And they're like, well, you can. And you're like, may I go to the bathroom?
Yes.
Yeah. Because they're like, can you tell us which house Jode is in? And she's like, I could.
Ugh.
It's so good. This is, see,
It's so funny.
Eragon could be a funny book.
It
Right
could
here.
be.
This is amazing.
If Angela was the main character, this would be a funny book.
I want a book all about Angela.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, me too.
I am so intrigued by this woman. Anyway, so she's like holding this frog, and they're like, why are you holding a frog? And she's like, well, this frog, he's actually a toad, but I'm trying to prove that toads don't exist, that there are only frogs. And her reasoning is that if toads don't exist, then this is a frog, and toads can no longer do all the things folklore says they do, which is like, you know, make teeth fall out, cause warts, and poison or kill people. And witches can't use them in any of their spells because toads don't exist. Which is so great to me. Like, before we get into the frog thing, I want a book about this concept.
Yeah.
Like, someone just, like, making taxonomic rules which like make spells not work, like being like, sorry, toads were actually reclassified into frogs, and you're like, now any spell that needs a toad just can't be done. It's like, damn it.
That would be very good. You should write that book.
I
I'd
will
read it.
write that book so that I can read it.
It would
Anyway,
be so good.
It would be so
So
good.
good.
That's like
Yeah.
exactly my shit, that concept.
But Sophie, are you going to tell us what the difference between a toad and a frog is?
Yeah. I just
Okay.
wanted to get that part off.
Okay, good.
Because I'm dying to know.
Yeah, I was reading this chapter, saw that, and I was like, I could look it up, but I think Sophie will do that. So I didn't.
And I already knew. Didn't even have to look it up.
Whoa.
Hells yes.
So, like, okay, I got to learn about a thing that I didn't know about before, which is the term folk taxonomy,
Okay.
which is like how people group animals in like common names and things like that. So when you say like a toad or a frog, those don't really mean anything in scientific taxonomy, but to people, like, you know what people mean, right?
Mhm.
And so, like, in folk taxonomy, a toad is like a frog that is dry, has rougher skin, and terrestrial. In scientific taxonomy, toads are like only from one family called the true toads, which like happens a lot in taxonomy. Like, you get like one family of jellyfish, which is called true jellyfish, and everything else are just like whatever, I guess.
Sure.
Love taxonomy.
Yeah, but what's great is that some toads in the family Bufonidae are called frogs.
Yeah, isn't a bullfrog a toad?
Yeah, I
A
guess
bullfrog
so.
is a bufo. It's like
Yeah.
bufo, isn't it?
Yeah.
A what?
It's
A
the
bufo.
A
You know.
bufo?
A
I know
bufo.
nothing about frogs. Nothing.
Bufo's the genus.
Okay.
So a bufo.
A
the
bufo.
common toad or the European toad is bufo.
Yeah.
Not
Bufo,
the
bufo?
American bullfrog, which is
Yep.
what I thought it was.
Bufo, bufo.
Yeah, is the American bullfrog a frog then? Now we have to know.
American bullfrog is a true frog, so
Yeah.
I'm full of
Okay, yeah, because so like anytime you try and like pick physical things you can look at to be like, oh, it's a toad if it has this, never really is 100% true. Like there's always exceptions to everything. So like
Mhm.
generally a toad is like, yeah, dry, lives in terrestrial environment and has those like parotid glands, so that like bump, like the swollen bit on the back of its head on either side
Okay.
that you think like when you see a toad you're like, ah, that thing. That's usually an indicator that it's a bufonid, like in Bufonidae, a true toad. But other frogs have parotid glands that are visible, and other amphibians too. So, but the fun thing is that like in folklore, which is basically what's in Eragon, in real world folklore, which they've taken and put in Eragon, toads are always like, evil and poisonous. Which is fun because like toads are poisonous. Like they have a toxin in those parotid glands. And that's where, if you've ever heard that like if you lick a certain toad, you'll like hallucinate or get high.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like bufotoxin is that one. And in some cases it'll kill you. And in other cases it'll make you high or won't do anything.
It's like mushrooms.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, there was one thing I read that I didn't find, I was like last minute, so I didn't find like a credible source for, but it said that like it's interesting that this folklore exists because it comes from like the UK, right? Like that sort of area folklore is where it was first traced to. But in the UK, there are no toads that are poisonous in that way.
Oh.
It's true of other toads, so that like folklore moved around, kind of spreading to become like the legend that it is, I guess.
Interesting.
Which is fun. Yeah. The other fun thing is that people used to think that because toads were poisonous, they must carry the antidote to their own poison. And so people believed that frogs and toads had like a magic stone inside their forehead.
Oh no.
That made them immune to poison. And if you harvested it, you would not be poisoned.
It's like a Del Toro quest.
Yeah. A toadstone.
There's a giant toad in Del Toro quest who keeps a stone in his forehead. He had the emerald, right? Which dulls in the presence of poison. Wow! Yeah. Cool!
Oh. Right? Isn't that fun?
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So
I'm stoked.
Yeah, so those are my toad facts. Toads don't exist, but kind of they do. But all toads are frogs, not all frogs are toads.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah. Like any of the little, hoppy amphibians are frogs, and toads are just a small subset of them.
Gotcha.
Okay. Toad facts.
Toad facts.
Toad facts with Sophie.
Okay, so we talked about the toad. Should we talk about Jode?
Yeah, what even happened, guys?
Yeah, this was like so weird. Brahm, Eragon, and Jode like have a super secret conversation. And then Brahm asks Eragon to leave and then keeps talking to Jode. And then Eragon uses magic to eavesdrop. And like, I don't know what the point was of Brahm letting Eragon stay. Like, why didn't he just say, I need to go talk to Jode? Because like he tells like a fake story essentially to Jode so that Eragon doesn't learn any of Brahm's backstory. And then tells Eragon to leave, and then he starts talking to Jode like honestly, It was just like a weird
It was very weird because like even when he's talking to Jode. He just, like, obviously is leaving things out, and, like, even Eragon can tell. And so it's just, like, I've established I don't like Braum, but, like, he was just straight up, like, rude and just... He's just not good. I don't like him.
Yeah, I just really don't know what the point was. Like, obviously, it's for the plot.
It's the plot.
It's to make Eragon be like, I should listen in when he talks to Jode, because now I'm curious. But, like, I don't know what the point... Obviously, I don't remember what Braum's background is.
Yeah.
What the backstory is, even with all these hints. But, like, I don't get why Eragon can't know it.
Yeah.
I don't get why that is necessary.
Well, like, what I kind of took from it is that, like, Braum and Jode were obviously a part of, like, something in conjunction with the elves that I'm assuming was to protect, like, Saphira's egg. And then Braum, for some reason, had to hide and just happened to choose Carvajal, which just happened to have Eragon, who just happened to find it. Like, I don't know. It was just, like, a lot of things that I was like, is this going to make sense, or is it all just done for plot convenience? I can't tell.
I will say it all makes sense to me.
Okay.
And, like, a lot of the stuff that came up in this chapter, like, kind of prompted me to remember a lot of the stuff. I couldn't quite remember who Jode was before, but then it's like, oh, we were in Gilead doing this heist with some mysterious friends, and now Jode has become a merchant to try to help some people called Azihad and Islanzadi getting goods to Serta and Tronchim, which is nonsense.
Yeah.
But I remember
utter
them.
nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, I'm assuming that's some kind of resistance group.
Yeah.
In another...
Probably.
Yeah, on another island. Anyway, what my brain is telling me is that maybe this is true and maybe it isn't true based on what I actually remember and what is in my subconscious just, like, clawing its way out. Maybe Braum went to go get the sword because the sword is special. And then he brought the sword to Carvajal for some reason.
That.
Like, or so, I don't think it was the egg for some reason.
I'd buy that.
Somebody's telling me that, like, they tried to send the egg to Braum. And that's why it ended up so close to him. You know?
Yeah.
I'd buy that.
Those are things that I think is what it is. And I don't know if it's real.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's
what
been
you're
so
saying
long.
works.
Yeah. So Braum says that the last time he and Jode saw each other, Jode is, like, so shocked to see him because he thought Braum was dead. I don't remember if we mentioned that or not. And Braum says he, like, found the thing they were looking for and faked his death. And then the thing was given to the elves and then stolen from the elves. And Braum promised to care for whomever received it. And then Jode looks at Eragon. And Braum is like, oh no, this is just some kid.
So maybe it is the egg. Okay,
so
that makes
the
sense.
way I interpreted that, because I don't remember that detail, was like, it was probably the egg.
Yeah.
And it was Braum's job to care for whoever the egg ended up with for one reason or another.
But it's weird that it's like, oh, it was stolen. Did
Yeah,
one
it
of
was
the
stolen
elves
from the
steal the
elves.
egg from the elves? Like, is that
Maybe.
what happened?
Or did the
Oh,
elves
anyway.
steal it from Galbatorix?
I think, well, my feeling was this, like, thing that they were doing in Gilead 20 years ago, before Braum faked his death, was to steal the egg from Galbatorix.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't...
And then he
know.
gave it to whoever, and then it got stolen from there.
Yeah. And that's probably related. Maybe the scene we saw in the prologue is, like, the elves stealing it back?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, because was I wrong? Like, for some reason I was under the impression that he was like, oh, it got stolen from the people who he had given it to, like, quite quickly.
Yeah.
You know, like, it wasn't there for very long.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that was also the vibe I got. The thing that I didn't understand about this conversation, going off the assumption that their initial mission was to steal the egg and Braum was to care for whomever received it, meaning whoever the egg hatched for. Like, that to me implied that, like, Jode knew that whoever ended up with this thing was going to be a dragon rider. So he looks at Eragon, assuming that Eragon is the dragon rider, and Braum is like, oh no, this is just some kid I met. His, like, family was killed. We're just traveling together. He has nothing to do with it. And then Braum sends Eragon out of the room and tells Jode about Saphira.
Yeah. That's like, that was the part that was confusing me, because I was
Yeah.
like, then it feels like he's trying to betray Eragon, you know?
It does.
Because, like, he's trying to make Eragon think that he is, like, keeping his trust, right? Like, by keeping his
Yeah.
secret
Yeah.
to Jode to protect him. But then, yeah, Eragon leaves. Like, I don't even know.
I also have to wonder if Brom is expecting Eragon to try to eavesdrop with magic, because he's, like, basically told Eragon to do that in the past. Use your magic to tell what people are thinking and, like, figure out what they want.
Yeah.
So, like, part of me is wondering if he sent Eragon out of the room to make Jode think that Eragon wasn't listening, not so that Eragon wouldn't hear.
Oh.
But
maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because, like, it does seem like something that, like, Brom would come out and be like, oh, did you listen to that? And Eragon would be like, no. And Brom would say, well, why didn't you use magic to eavesdrop on us, you stupid kid?
Yeah.
I just got the feeling that Brom was just being super shady, like, to Eragon the whole time. Like, that was just the vibe I got. It was just Brom was being shady. But
Yeah.
I could see that happening as well, because Brom is just all over the place.
It feels like a plot device.
Yeah.
Like, all of this feels like a plot device to give Eragon reasons to suspect Brom.
Yeah.
So that he's like, ooh, like, I don't know if I can trust Brom. And then, you know, Brom's gonna die, and he'll be like, here's what I was actually doing. Here's why it all makes sense. And Eragon will be like, oh, I'm so sorry that I thought you were suspicious. And then it'll be that moment. And then he'll be like, because I, you know, killed Brom with my untrustingness, I must avenge him, you know? Like, that's what I feel like is happening here.
Yeah, probably.
That's also, yeah.
Yeah, the, like, eavesdropping on a conversation to get an info dump is, like, such a played out trope, but it always works.
Yeah.
It's,
Was
like,
it played out
obvious
in 2006?
I don't know, probably.
I don't know, I don't care.
It's like, everybody does this. I feel like that's been happening since people started writing fiction.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know what the replacement for that is, because it's to get you as the reader from, like, a third person limited perspective with a protagonist to learn information that the protagonist does not have yet and would not have.
Yeah,
it's an effective trope, but every time I see it happening, it's like, oh, this again.
This again. Yeah.
No.
It was like it was a weird chapter, a part of the chapter, I guess.
Yeah, I like it because it's, like, very, well, to me at least, very clearly setting up what's going to come next, which is helpful.
Yeah. It's one of those parts that when you go back and read it, you're like, oh, yeah, I know exactly what's happening. This was great.
Yeah, this is when is starting to kick off, or, like, things are starting to get a little less simple. But Eragon doesn't know that yet.
Yeah.
I do like that Brom ends the conversation with Jode by saying, we'd better go out and join Eragon. I get worried when he's alone. That boy has an unnatural propensity for being wherever there's trouble.
I
was like,
laughed
oh,
at
burn.
that.
Oh, burn.
Oh, burn.
Sick burn.
Yeah.
Is he wrong, though?
He's not wrong.
No.
That's what makes it such a good burn.
I like that, like, I don't know, so minor, but Eragon, like, does magic, obviously, to eavesdrop, to give himself, like, keen hearing. And, like, immediately he's like, and now I can hear Brom and Jode. And I'm like, you're outside. Like, is there nothing else going on? Like, you just suddenly have magically better ears and you're not like, holy I can hear the road 10 miles away. You know? Like, he's like, no, there's no learning curve.
None.
I don't know if you guys looked up that phrase, because it's in the back of the book.
No.
The translation. No. So the thing that Eragon says, which I am not going to embarrass myself with this time around, translates to traverse stone and let me hear. Which does kind of give it, like, a specific intent, but I also really like how kind of clunky and awkward that phrasing is.
Yeah.
Because it's very clear. It's like me trying to speak French, where it's like, what are the, like, handful of words I know that are going to, like, get my idea across? And it's like, this is not the best way to say this. This is definitely not the most efficient way to do this, but it's like, I barely speak any of this language, and this is what I got.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, oh yeah, he's speaking, like, a different language, so it would make sense if it was in a different order, you know, like, like it shouldn't just be a direct translation to English,
Yeah.
right? But then I was like, well, technically the language he's speaking is based off of that language,
Yeah.
so it would make sense.
Looking at the translation and kind of making assumptions, it looks like the grammar is the same. The sentence in the old language has the same number of words and what appears to be the same order.
Yeah.
So we also find out in this chapter that Eragon can't read, which is kind of hilarious given that going to like read a bunch of records was his idea and like this hasn't come up yet.
I didn't even think about that.
I also was like, wait, how have we not known
How has
this?
this not come up before?
Yeah, I was surprised.
Don't know.
But that's also a fantasy trope.
Oh, it is a fantasy trope, yeah, that the protagonist can't read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you know he's from humble beginnings.
Exactly,
Yes.
because reading was only a thing that nobles knew how to do.
But like Garrow knows how. Like
I know, like why not teach your kid how to read?
Why not teach? Like, does that mean Roran also doesn't know how to read?
It must. Like,
No,
why would you
probably
teach
not.
one kid and not the other?
Yeah.
So weird.
I love how annoyed Brahm is that Eragon can't read. He's like, your stupid uncle didn't teach you how to read? What a dick.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not wrong. I agree with Brahm on one thing.
Yeah.
I was, like, curious, though, because I was like, can you really teach a person to read in a week? Because I was like, that seems very fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Brahm says that's what they're going to spend the next week doing.
Yeah, and so I looked it up. I did a very brief internet search because I was just like, is this a realistic timeline?
Yeah.
I'll have you know, typing in, how long does it take to learn how to read in Google is a thing that a lot of people on Quora ask.
Okay.
No, I found some like actual, it's a lot of parenting websites.
Yeah.
So for kids, it does take a few years just because obviously the brains are still developing. However, adults, apparently, it isn't uncommon for adults to learn fairly quickly. And obviously, depending on the circumstances and everything, some people can learn faster than others. But the most common number I was seeing was it takes about 4 to 5 months to like master being able to read. However, I did come across another website. I don't know how much I trust it though, because it kind of gave me Goop by Gwyneth Paltrow vibes. But it did say that it only takes about 30 hours to like master reading. So could Eragon learn to read in a week? Not impossible, but very implausible. Like I feel like you probably need more time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my deep
Especially
dive.
like not having known an alphabet before.
Yeah.
Like if he's never learned how to read any language
or write. So it's like a whole thing. Yeah.
I wonder if whatever language they're speaking operates differently from English specifically, and that English has a lot of like weird sounds and phonemes that we've kind of ended up with because English is like the language that beats other corners in an alley and steals bits of them.
Yeah.
But there are other languages. Like my dad's first language is Hungarian, and he's told me that in Hungarian every single word is phonetic. Like they don't have spelling tests or anything as kids. Because everything is spelled exactly the way it sounds.
I wish English was like that.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But like maybe whatever the language they're speaking in Alagaesia is similar to Hungarian in the sense that like once you know what sounds the letters make, you can sound out any word.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that would speed it up, I would imagine.
Yeah. And maybe it's like I took a course in ancient Greek language.
You would.
As a fun fact.
You would.
Literally just to be better at species names.
Again,
that is
not surprising.
A fair argument, but again, I'm not shocked.
Not modern Greek, which would be useful. No, ancient Greek. This was this was when I was in my second year of university, and I was the kind of person who was like, well, in olden times, scientists had to know ancient Greek and Latin, so I'm going to learn them.
Wow.
And then I didn't. I dropped the class after one semester. But I remember the teacher saying, first of all, she would often go on rants about physics and how bad physicists were at writing Greek alphabets, which was just so funny. I was like, hello, I'm a scientist. I'm here undercover.
I'm an imposter.
So many tangents. Okay, but the second one was that she was like, the thing about ancient Greek is that there are no exceptions to any rules. If there's a rule for how a certain ending declines, like the verb, if it ends like that, it always declines that way. And it's like, oh my God, amazing.
Wow.
Like,
yeah.
wow. So maybe the ancient language is also, not the ancient language, the current language
Yeah.
is also
Yes.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
You
would
know,
make it so much
easy
easier
grammar to learn. Because then you just have to learn it once to write it.
It makes it more realistic that Brahm could actually teach them in a week. Yeah.
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 Maybe there are fewer letters.
That's
Yeah. They actually only have one vowel.
Yeah.
Which like cuts down on a lot.
Yeah, you just have to, they just put dots on it or something.
Yeah.
It's an umlaut.
Different accents.
My favorite part of this chapter, after the frog part, was when Brahm just throws poison at his friend. He just hucks the container of extremely deadly poison at his friend to look at. Like, it's just like, don't toss it. Why would you toss a container of deadly poison?
I feel like
not a huge fan of Brahm.
He's like, hey Joe, check this out. Throws it at him.
I feel like that's such like a dude thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I might be biased. I feel like men are always just like, oh, here's a thing, and they'll like toss like a beer at someone. I'm like, that's in a glass bottle. Like, just hand it to them. Just give them the beer. Like, you don't have to throw everything.
Brav's gonna say think fast next time.
Oh my God.
Throw it at somebody.
He's gonna throw it and then berate them for not thinking fast.
Yeah. The other fun wording in this chapter was that, I guess I'm skipping a bunch. Maybe we can talk about Eragon hanging out with Saphira.
Oh yeah.
Saphira was kind of, again, mean to him, which I don't like.
And also weird that, like, the first time she talked to him, she's like, you should trust Brahm. He's trustworthy. And then the next time she's like, don't trust Brahm with this.
Right?
Yeah.
She's such a teen. Trying to sound wise.
That is true.
She is. She totally is. I did think that was interesting, though, because there's a scene in both of these two chapters where Eragon learns something, goes to Saphira, and they discuss it and decide to keep it among themselves. And, like, it feels like Eragon and Saphira are, like, starting to become a unit by themselves. And, like, now that they're actively keeping information from Brahm and, like, only talking about things to each other, which is an interesting development. I'm sure that'll probably be pretty important as they presumably have to, like, fight the king and save the country or whatever as a pair.
Yeah, like I like that Eragon goes and talks to her both days. You know, like, it's sort of been glossed over other times, implied that he spends a lot of time with her, but then functionally doesn't.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to be like, oh, they spend some time together, they discuss things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's like, these chapters at least do make it clear that it's a priority for Eragon to be able to talk to Saphira, which we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Yeah. You know, it's getting there.
Yeah, it's getting there. Saphira, like, mocks Eragon for his poor decision making, which I support.
Which is fun, yeah. Eragon tries to climb a cliff and gets stuck, and she makes fun of him for like an hour.
Yeah. It's like, oh wow, big strong dragon rider, you chose the only route up this cliff that would have gotten you trapped. Like, wow, good job.
What a great job.
If only you had a dragon, you could have asked to give you the good route up, but too bad for you, big strong man. It's exactly how I would react.
Yep. So good. When Eragon comes back into the city, he goes back to Jode's house, and apparently a butler lets him in and takes him past scores of doorways until they get to the study. Do you know how much a score is? It's 20.
Yeah.
It's 20. Wait, 20 what?
20 things. So they passed scores of doorways. So that's
Oh, okay,
multiple
20 doorways.
20s of doorways.
At least 40.
At least
Yeah, it would
40
have to be minimum.
doorways.
That's a lot of doors. That's a lot of
That
doors.
is so many doors.
I didn't even pick up on this.
Right?
I didn't notice that either.
And Jode, like, right before this is talking about how he's like, yeah, my business isn't doing great. My wife is mad at me that we can't live in the same style she's used to. I'm like, yeah, you're trying to upkeep a house that has 20 doors in between your main door and your office. Like, what's on with the rest of your house? Like, what?
It's just a bunch of linen closets.
No, it's just like a circle. There's like 4 hallways that make like a square, and the butler just took him through the circle like 4 different times before taking him to the study. It's the only thing that makes sense.
40 doors in his house.
Yeah.
That's a lot of doors.
And like the phrasing, minimum 40, but realistically more like 60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
60 or more.
60 or
Yeah.
more. I guess
So many doors.
like Eragon has to be being hyperbolic, right?
Yeah,
There's probably
right?
like 8 doors, and he was like, "Oh, you should have seen it. There were hundreds.
There were
Yeah.
hundreds of doors.
We were walking down that hallway for 45 minutes."
It's just so funny. Now I'm gonna be like, okay, like Aragon's like, and Saphira was as tall as a horse. I'm like, okay, so she was like the size of a dog, like
Yeah, she's a German retriever at best.
Yeah. Did she say German retriever?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did.
You know, a German retriever, they
I mean, they've definitely crossed before. It's not
Yeah.
like a wrong thing to
They
say.
exist.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. I
That-
appreciate your benefit of the doubt.
That
You're
regular
welcome.
dog everyone knows about. German
Yeah.
retriever.
Okay, you can't tell me that somewhere there's not a German Shepherd mixed with a Golden Retriever. Like,
definitely
who's
is
to say
one.
it can't be called a German Retriever?
There definitely is one. I looked up a picture and they're adorable.
Oh,
Yeah, I also just looked it up. It's very
still
cute.
funny.
I'm gonna look
I mean,
it
it's
up.
in my defense. I'm stupid, but they're like the 2 most popular dog breeds in North America, I think,
Yeah.
other than
Yeah.
Labradors, I guess.
Just smash them together. Why not?
You know those Labrador shepherds.
Yeah.
I want a
Anyway.
dog.
Anyway, okay.
Listen, there are other things that happen in between, but they're not as interesting. Can we talk about Solumbum the Werecat? He's very interesting.
Yeah.
He's in Angela's shop, and he is described as being a red cat, or a cat with red eyes, oversized paws, a shaggy mane, tufted ears, and exposed fangs, which is a lot.
A lot.
Like he's a lion, right?
Like a tiny lion?
That's what.
Oversized
is he
paws
t-
implies that he's
But is he tiny?
small. I thought he was cat-sized.
Because he says a large, fierce cat. So, like,
Oh,
how
I could
large?
be wrong then. Yeah, how large is... I mean, well, if Aragon's just saying large, he's probably like regular cat size.
Yeah. I like
Like,
that
oh, look
he
at that
has-
giant cat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. I like that he has little black tufts on his ears.
Me too.
Yeah, it's cute.
That makes me think he's a caracal. Is that what they are? Where they
Oh,
got
yeah.
long flippy bits on their ears.
Yeah, the tufted ears and shaggy mane had me thinking lynx.
That's where my
Oh.
head went to.
Or maybe like a Maine Coon.
Yeah, because they have that. They also have
I
that
have
like
no idea what
lynxy
that
kind of
is.
face.
A Maine Coon also have the tufted ears.
Yeah, they're
Oh.
just like a big breed of house cat.
okay.
Like gigantic.
Huge. They're supposed to be super friendly, I think, but I'm allergic to cats, so I don't really know that much about them or spend time around
Yeah,
them.
me
I'm
neither.
looking at pictures and they're adorable.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
What kind of cat is your cat?
you know, a cat.
She's a I found this cat cat.
Yeah.
She's the floof.
Yeah.
She is very big and very fluffy, but
And
Yeah.
has
you
a
know,
forbidden belly.
yeah, forbidden belly.
Oh my god, such a forbidden
You
belly.
can't touch the forbidden belly.
She's a forbidden everywhere except her head.
That's true.
Unless you're a man, apparently.
Apparently.
Yeah, your cat's misogynistic.
So rude, honestly.
Yeah.
Mhm. Anyways.
Anyway, I really like that Solumbum has oversized paws, which makes me think that he's like a puppy and has like puppy
Aw,
proportions.
he's gonna get bigger.
He's gonna get bigger, but right now he's a little puppy.
Aww.
Or
Aw.
kitten, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. That's
Again, not a cat
Lynx,
person.
Lynx does make sense then.
Yeah, like that's the aesthetic that I took away from that.
Oh yeah. I forgot that
Mhm.
they have that little ruff
Yeah, they have the
around their
cute little
face.
ruff.
Aw, and tufted ears. You're right. He's a lynx.
Yeah.
He's a lynx. I don't know if lynxes have exposed fangs, but
I don't think so, but it is a fantasy
No.
lynx, so I'll
Yeah,
accept
fantasy
it.
lynx, big teeths.
fantasy lynx,
Yeah.
big teeths. I didn't have any notes about his tail, but lynxes tend to have short tails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he's like a saber-toothed tiger.
Yeah, he's like a saber-toothed
Aw.
lynx.
Aw.
He's very cute.
I think that's actually a like extinct species, isn't it? could
I
be
have no
wrong.
idea. Maybe.
I don't know.
Anyway, Eragon walks into the shop and Solumbum sees him and like mentally says like hello or something. And Eragon is like, holy shit, who's talking to me? Sees the cat and tries to like make the cat think that he's friendly and like not a threat. And Solumbum's like, stop doing that. Like, I'm just a person, like, you don't need to treat me like an animal. And Eragon's like, holy shit, you can talk.
I mean, Eragon has a dragon. Should he really be that surprised?
It was like weird that he thought it was Saphira,
Yeah.
which
That's-
implies
yeah.
that like brain talking all sounds the same.
Yeah, that
yeah.
was very interesting. You'd think he'd be able to distinguish Saphira's mental voice.
Yeah.
But I guess Eragon, the only people he has talked to mentally are Saphira and like once Brahm. So maybe he just
True.
doesn't know enough, or it didn't even
Yeah.
occur to him that a cat could talk, even though Brahm told him to talk to a cat.
Talk to a cat.
Anyway, Werecat, which implies that he could turn into a person maybe,
Yeah.
but he doesn't.
I also did not understand that.
Yeah.
It doesn't say that. Like it says, oh, they're as smart as a human and can live longer than them. And I'm like, so what is the where part?
Is it
Yeah.
species?
Does were mean anything other than like shapeshifter? Or like that's the only context in which I know to use that prefix.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm looking it up.
Interesting.
Yeah, I
Me
was
too.
gonna say this is a Sophie thing again. Isn't this something you know with your linguistics?
You know, I didn't get very far. Yeah.
I looked up where as a prefix, and it's an archaic term for adult male humans and often used for alliteration with wife. I feel like that's not
A were like a werewife?
No.
like
Like as wife.
like the complement to wife, so instead of husband and wife, it's a where and wife, I guess.
Weird.
Oh.
Anyway,
Later
often
on it
used as a
does
prefix,
say
yeah, applied to an animal name to indicate a type of therianthropic feature or figure or shapeshifter.
Oh, apparently werecats in historical usage are feline human transformations or other beings that combine feline and human characteristics.
Oh, so
Interesting.
cat boys.
So cat boys.
Cat boys.
Eragon meets a cat boy.
Eragon meets a cat boy. Oh my
Oh my
god.
god.
This was a mistake. Reading this book in this
Eragon
year
was a
of our
mistake.
Lord, 2022.
Oh my god. Wow.
Oh, apparently werecats are generally labeled as witches
Oh.
Oh.
in Europe.
Huh.
Man,
Interesting.
here I was thinking Pellini was just making shit up.
Sorry. This part of the Wikipedia page. During the witch trials, all shapeshifters, including werewolves, were considered witches whether they were male or female. Just like, you know, the shapeshifters that they found who could shift into other
Yeah,
into
all
animals.
the shapeshifters.
All the shapeshifters.
What?
Can you imagine a witch that was a man? Yeah, we found this werewolf. It's
Yeah.
like,
Funny. Anyway.
oh boy.
Good cat.
And he seems to like really take a liking to Eragon, which Angela points out is apparently very rare. But he like chats with Eragon and like gives him a prophecy, and apparently he never does any of this because Eragon is like a special guy.
So
I
special.
guess.
Almost like he was chosen.
Mhm.
Like a chosen one.
The one who was chosen.
Wild.
Yeah, and because like Solumbum likes Eragon, Angela decides to like give him a oh my god, guys, sorry. I just
What?
realized our favorite character in this book is the same name as our favorite character in Twilight.
Oh my god, you're right.
Wait, what?
Angela is the best.
Angela is the best.
Oh, I was so confused. I was like, what?
Sorry, I got distracted after I said Angela. Wait, that name.
Oh,
I've
I'm
said
just
this
like,
into the microphone before.
I'm just
I was
half
like, what do you
asleep, so
mean
my
there was no
brain-
soul and bum in Twilight?
That's what
Yeah.
I was like, stolen from? What? I was like,
No,
wait, is
Angela.
there a werecat?
You know the Wiltshire Solembum?
Was there like one lynx in the pack of wolves? Like,
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway.
Angela is like, I'm gonna tell your future because Solembum likes you, and reveals that like maybe Eragon's mom
Yeah.
also could talk to Solembum and came to Angela for like a future reading and had a terrible future.
Yeah. Which probably tracks with whatever happened to Eragon's mom.
Yeah, honestly.
She says, like, a woman named Selena came, and Eragon's like, oh my god, that's the same name as my mother. And because nothing in Eragon is subtle,
Yeah.
it's obviously his
Nothing.
mother.
Yeah. It's gotta be. But like I don't know, this woman gives him like the most dramatic
Oh my god.
future prediction. It's like, there will be great battles raging around you. The powers of the land will be fighting over you and trying to convince you to join them. A terrible thing is going to happen to you, but an epic romance also. And someone's going to die. There will be a betrayal in your family. She says all of this, and then right after, he like looks worried, and she's like, don't fret about what is to come. The only way the future can harm you is by worry. And it's like, no, his future can definitely harm him.
Yes.
It's gonna harm him a lot, actually.
It's gonna harm him a lot. And she's also just like so blasé about it. She's like, yeah, the whole world is gonna be fighting over you. Anyway.
It's like, huh, weird.
Cool.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Oh wow, it looks like you're gonna live forever. Like, that's weird. Anyway, not gonna ask questions.
Yeah. Like, excuse me?
I feel like if I was a fortune teller and I did someone's fortune and their fortune was, you're going to live forever, I'd be like, hey,
Hey.
do you know anything about this? Because that's
Yeah.
weird.
Right? They came to the city being like, we gotta be super
Yeah.
sneaky and no one can know who we are. And then Eragon's like, yeah, tell my future.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, so anyway, you're a dragon rider.
He's like, yeah, my name's Eragon and I'm here with Brahm. And she's like, oh, you were named after the first dragon rider, and holy shit, Brahm. That guy's life sucks. Paraphrased.
Yeah, it's a good time.
She actually does laugh when Eragon tells him that he's there with Brahm, and doesn't explain why, except that he is well known by those in my profession, and that the poor man's doom, or future, if you will, is something of a joke. It's like, oh,
That's so rough.
oh, jeez.
Because, like, she also explicitly says, like, someone who is very close to you is going to die very soon. And it's like, it's gotta be Brahm.
It's gotta be
like, there's
Brahm.
nobody else.
Look,
Like,
could
Eragon
be
knows, like,
Roran.
3 people.
It could be Roran.
It could be Roran.
But someone in his family has to betray him, and the only one left is Roran.
Oh, that's a good point.
Well, my
Yeah.
theory is that it's his birth family that will
Oh.
betray him.
We think they're still alive?
Selena.
Or whoever is, right? She had parents.
Presumably.
Oh, his grandparents?
Well, you know, maybe she had brothers and sisters. Maybe they had kids, you know.
Presumably Eragon had a dad.
Yeah, who maybe had other children.
Yeah. Or, like, maybe his dad is, like, Galbatorix.
Yeah.
That would be
maybe
fucking wild.
that would be probably. Is his dad Darth Vader?
Yeah. Yeah, he's gotta be. Well, because
This is-
Brahm is Obi-Wan. So
Right.
Galbatorix has to be either Darth Vader or the Emperor.
Right. The
Yeah.
reveal in the 3rd book that he was descended from the Emperor.
Yeah.
He was a
After
Palpatine the
kissing
whole
his
time.
sister. Oh, yes. Ugh. Let's not talk about that one.
The other part of this thing that made me while we're talking about other things that this book is like, it's
Yeah.
like, wow, it's so like he's gonna leave Alagaesia forever on a
Yeah.
sailing ship, and I'm like, dang, a boat for Frodo to get. I mean, Eragon to get on at the end of the book.
I had the exact same thought, especially when she was like, and you'll leave this place forever. And I was like, really? Are we Bilbo
I know,
now?
Damn.
Ugh.
He's
Yeah.
gonna get stabbed by a Nazgul blade. I mean, a
Oh
Razak
no, I
blade.
think that happens.
Yeah, the Razak 100% are. He's gonna go into some hallucinating trance or whatever. Brahm is gonna have to rush him somewhere. Then they finally come across the elves. The elves save him. They're like, oh, "You're Eragon." Anyways,
Oh no.
I just wrote the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
And then Brahm has to die so that he can escape something that isn't a Balrog.
But it'll be a
Yes.
fiery rock demon of some sort.
They're gonna be in one of the dwarven strongholds.
Yep.
Yeah. That is not Minas Tirith.
No,
It's not.
it's did they say it? Or I guess
I
They
can't
haven't said it
remember.
yet.
no, they mentioned Serta and Trondheim, but I don't think those are the dwarf places.
No.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Anyway, we're dunking on this book a lot.
I mean, stop me if you've heard this before. I really liked these chapters because I really liked this book. But it's like so cobbled together of other
Yeah.
fantasy series, which again
Yeah.
we've discussed. This chapter is or these two chapters rather, is a lot of Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and a little bit of like Harry Potter.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like all of those just mixed in there.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, even seeing all, like, even being like, oh, a boat, right, is taking Frodo away to the thing. You know, even reading all, I actually also liked these chapters. Like, a lot of stuff happened. You know,
Yeah,
stuff is going on
that's
instead of being
true.
like, what's happening? Like, what are we doing?
That's true.
Yeah.
I'll give it that.
We did have a lot of chapters kind of at the beginning where it's like, well, one thing happened, and it was like, ooh, there was a storm. And now it's like, okay, we made it to
Yeah.
Tierm, we met Jode, they like made a plan, we learned that Eragon can't read, he got a prophecy, they met a witch, they met a Werecat, like a lot of
Yeah.
stuff happened in these two chapters. Which
Like, the
I
plot is
appreciate.
picking up.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff's starting
Great.
to happen.
It's about time.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we're not quite at it yet, but at some point this is going to turn from like simple revenge quest to like some kind of wild, crazy like adventure with a bunch of like political shit, I believe.
Right. Like, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we're turning towards the more complex plot here.
Yeah, because, like, this book, as much as we're like, oh, it's so much like Lord of the Rings, and it's just like, well, it can't, like, it's gonna have to diverge from that plot at some point, because, like,
Yeah.
there isn't a thing that he needs to get rid of.
No.
You know, clearly the plot is different.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for when it diverges.
Yes. Surely.
Surely.
Yeah, lots of fantasy elements, but it at least is gonna combine them in its own way.
Yeah. I had one last thought about this chapter.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's that at the very beginning, when Eragon walks into Angela's house, it says, a colorful bird with wide tail feathers and
Oh.
a sharp, powerful beak looked at Eragon
Uh-huh.
inquisitively. So this is a macaw,
Yeah.
Yes.
which implies that somewhere in Alagaesia is a humid subtropical rainforest,
Yep.
Uh-huh.
or else where did she get this bird? But Alagaesia isn't, like, the continent they're on isn't that big.
Yeah, but remember the biome changed so much to the point where he didn't recognize the plants.
But, like,
Oh.
subtropical?
Yeah, I know.
Maybe-
Subtropical?
I know. Well, if you look at the map,
Yeah.
yeah, like the map is only showing that north half.
Now that I'm looking at the map,
Oh.
Tierm is actually souther than Carvajal. Tierm is about like halfway down
Yeah.
the continent of Alagaesia, and then like Serta is the country like to the extreme south.
And is Serta, like, a desert area?
Hard to say.
Okay, but
Okay.
it's
There could be a
implied
forest
that there's
there.
more to this map, though, right? Like those mountain ranges at the bottom extend down, so like
Yeah.
it's safe to assume that there's likely a southern portion of this world
Yeah.
or whatever that they just haven't discovered. Like Galbatorix runs this, but I don't think it's like a wild thing to assume that there's probably a southern portion to this world.
Yeah, and there's like these green islands off to the west of Serta. They look
Yeah.
like a volcanic mountain chain. which
Yeah.
in our world tend to be pretty tropical for no particular reason.
Well, okay, but only if the islands are off of a tropical area.
Yeah, but they always are.
I mean, it's fantasy logic, Sophie, not real world logic.
Sam and I literally live on an island.
You're not on a volcanic island, though.
We're on a literal rock in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean that is, let me tell you, not tropical.
Not tropical.
No, you're not on a, like, volcanic hotspot island chain.
No.
Which is what that looks like to me.
Listen.
As someone who enjoys looking at maps and took 3 geology classes.
Yeah.
Very qualified. Listen, maybe this bird is magic and that's why it looks like that.
I stand by that this map is not showing everything and that there's a southern portion to this continent where there could realistically be a rainforest, assuming that this is a spherical planet that follows a similar biome distribution to Earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want it noted that on the inheritance wiki, it says Alagaesia climate, temperate, semi-arid, and arid.
Yes, but what about Sirta and the islands off of Sirta, or the land south of the Boar Mountains? They're not in
But none
Alagaesia.
of all the traders were like going to Sirta.
Yeah, which is south.
Yeah, but that looks like a sand dune area.
Yeah.
It does have a distinctive sandy color on them.
Yeah.
My feeling is that Alagaesia here, this is the UK. That island off to the side is Iceland, because Iceland is on, isn't that a volcanic hotspot?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the mountains or whatever lead down south, but there is a rainforest area to the south, but I think this area is supposed to be like the UK. That's the kind of climate we're going for here.
Maybe the equivalent of like old-timey naturalists. Like, I want the book about them as they sail off from Alagaesia being like, I'm gonna go bring back one of every animal I find.
I feel like this is what we want from every fantasy world we read. It's like we literally just want to read about the zoologists in each fantasy world that we read.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
This very entertaining discussion aside, I feel like the point of this is meant to be, or to show that Angela is like mysteriously well-traveled. Like, oh, she has this thing that you can't even get in this country. Like, that's so weird.
So again, I just want a book about her because she's the naturalist going off on a boat finding fun things.
Yeah.
Dang it.
She seemed pretty cool. I'd read a whole book about her.
Me too. What were we talking about?
I think we were talking about how we're done the podcast.
Yep.
Yes.
So let's guess. What's going to happen next?
Oh, yeah.
So the next 2 chapters are called Of Reading and Plots and Thieves in the Castle.
Oh.
So Eragon's going to learn to read.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we'll finally get to the main plot of the book. Sorry.
We'll see.
I don't know. The Thieves in Castle... Maybe Eragon goes to try to steal something. Maybe him and Saphira try to do like some secret mission that they don't tell Brahm about. I'd be into that.
Dang.
Yeah. I don't know, that's my guess.
I think the plot is going to be to go get into the records.
It's gotta be.
Yeah.
And then the Thieves in the Castle is them going to steal the records. I was going to say they go in to read the records, but I guess if they're thieves, they're stealing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also assuming that they are going to be the thieves, but it could be someone else who is the thieves.
Oh.
It could be.
Like they catch them while they're trying to thieve in the castle?
Yeah, there's like multiple burglaries occurring at the same time. Just
what a comedy of errors.
Right, comedy, it can't be that one.
All right. Yeah. Tragedy only.
Angst. This genre of book is angst. Teen angst.
Teen angst and nothing else.
Just that. Teen angst with a dragon.
And a lynx. Werecat.
And a lynx.
Yes. A werelynx.
Cool.
Yeah, I think we got it.
Yeah.
So I guess let's talk about what else we're reading currently. I finished a book last night and a book this morning. And a book yesterday afternoon.
Oh my
so
God.
I'm not currently reading anything. Because I was reading 3 books at the same time and I finished them all within the last 24 hours.
Wow. Tell us about them.
Well, I finished the physical copy of Black Sun,
Yes.
our book club book. So good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so good,
although it was so good. Although I was like at the last chapter and I forgot that it was not a standalone.
right?
I literally got to the end and was like, what? And then was like, oh yeah, there's another book.
Yeah.
I was like, excuse me.
I think the next one's supposed to come out this summer.
Yeah, so it was really good. And I really want to read the next one.
Oh my god, me too.
Yeah. And then I started the Robin Hobb series, the Farseer trilogy on audiobook. I have a lot of audiobooks on hold that are coming through that I could be listening to, but I decided to pick up a fantasy series from a while ago.
Yeah.
Don't know why. It's pretty good. I liked it.
I used to have hard copies of that series, and then I gave them to Sam, but I don't know if they made the move with you.
They didn't. I did donate them.
Yeah, I was just kind of salty about the fact that it seemed pretty clear to me in the book that Fitz was black or at least biracial, and on the cover it's just like some white guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was something that confused me too.
It's like,
Anyway, yeah, it was pretty good. It was like a standard fantasy book where I was like, I'm having a good time. I don't know what the plot is. And then at the end I was like, damn, that was a good payoff. Still didn't really know what the plot was.
It's literally like Way of Kings and Brandon Sanderson. You read 1,200 pages, no idea what's going on, and then the last like 50 pages you're like, oh.
Yeah, and then I was reading the ebook I was rereading a Mercedes Lackey book, The Serpent's Shadow. It's a good one. Still, I've read it like 1,000 times, and while I was reading it, I like got close to the end, and I was like, I gotta keep going.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what happens.
That's how you know it's a good book.
So yeah, I haven't picked up anything else yet, but I just got the audiobook for A Spindle Splintered by Alex Harrow.
Nice.
So guess I'll read that next.
I just finished Between Two Kingdoms, a memoir of life interrupted, which is about a woman who got diagnosed with a very rare form of leukemia in her 20s. And it's very intense and very sad, and it was very good, but maybe listen to it when, in better times. But it was good. It's just, it's very intense, and I feel for this woman a lot. Anyways, on a happier note, I started reading The Roughest Draft, which is a rom-com. And then I'm also reading A House of Sky and Breath, which is Crescent City 2, by Sarah J. Maas, which I might still be reading at the next recording because it's like 800 pages. And then I'll have to read Black Sun and Winter's Orbit because Sam is behind.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
So that's me.
All right. Well, I've also been reading some pretty intense books. I finished the Poppy War trilogy by R.F. Kuang. So last time we recorded, I was reading The Dragon Republic. I finished that, and I finished The Burning God this morning before work, which was a mistake to read before work. Very good series, super intense. And I'm very impressed by how she manages to, like, keep the action going up until, like, the very last page. I don't know.
Yeah.
How that happens. But, yeah. In addition to that, because being upset about fantasy warfare was not enough, I listened to Call Me Indian by Fred Sasakamoose, which is a memoir by the first Treaty Indigenous player to ever play in the NHL, who was, like, a residential school survivor, and then after surviving that and playing in the NHL, he, like, became a leader in his community and, like, within Canada, and participated in, like, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And real upsetting because, like, the last chapter was all him talking about, like, all of the things that he's been working on in the last, like, year and the things that he's planning on doing. And then I looked him up and he died of COVID in 2020.
No.
Oh my god.
So I've been really sad about that.
Yeah.
Like, he died before the book was even published. It came out, like, 5 months after he died. It's really fucking upsetting. But it was a really interesting book.
Dang.
Yep. So, real heavy. But since finishing those, I started listening to The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern.
Oh, you'll have to tell me how that is.
Yeah, I'm almost halfway through the audiobook, and it's very interesting. I have no idea what's going on. Anyway, we'll see how that one
Okay.
goes.
Yeah.
And then tonight, I'm finally going to start our March Midlight Book Club book, which is Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell.
Oh, yeah.
That, I'm pretty sure, is like a queer YA sci-fi book, so I am hoping it will be a little more chill than The Burning God.
I don't think it's YA.
Oh,
I
no?
could be wrong. I think it's adult, but
Oh, jeez. I totally thought it was.
No, yeah, it's adult.
Space opera. Huh.
Yeah.
I guess it just has kind of a YA cover.
It does, yeah.
Deceptive.
Well, good, because I prefer adult books over YA books, so that's even better.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. If you liked this chapter of Midlight Crisis, consider rating and reviewing us on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. You can talk to us and find fun-related content on social media. We are at Midlight Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and all chapters of the show thus far are available on our website, midlightpod.podbean.com, and on YouTube.
And just like Jode, I'm afraid I've degenerated into a bibliophile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
Same.
Yeah.
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 It's a pandemic. What else do you want from me?